Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ear Hustling Podcast. It's the normal four folks here this week. How's everyone doing? Soleil, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
You know, as a old wise man I know will say, it's just another great day in Carroll County. Speaking of old wise man, Eric. Speaking of you, Eric, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Young, wise ass James.
I appreciate that. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. For the rest of the show, please don't talk to me anymore. Princeton, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm a storm survivor, tornado survivor. After we had those horrific storms this weekend, but made it through the other side.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. It was like 2 branches fell. That was it. They're like really small. Yeah. Our cats could pick them up.
Hey, state of emergency though. State of emergency.
It was, but there were some areas that wasn't as lucky. So I feel fortunate.
True.
Listen, y'all, I am excited about tonight's show. I'm excited for most of our shows, but this one is particularly exciting. It's not often that we have someone on that we know personally. You know, sometimes we do. You know, we definitely have some close friends of the show that has been on. But today has been someone that I've known for several years. And I want to take a few moments to introduce her. The name of this show is Meet Danielle, the Woman of Many Faces. And here's her bio. And honestly, this isn't even going to do, I'm not going to be able to do it the justice it deserves. But Danielle Blackshear is a mother of 4, wife, and a dynamic individual who has excelled in various fields. She's played women's football, rugby, and is a professional vocalist and a vocal coach. Danielle enjoys sharing her musical talents to inspire others. Some of you may remember back in season 1, Danielle actually appeared on one of our shows. It was called The Show of Shows. And she made a very interesting entrance. Everyone was prepared to sing and perform and do different things, read spoken word, what have you, when Danielle showed up in her car. And she belted out some amazing songs. And she's just an amazing vocalist. Just a quick side story. As many of you all know, she and I used to run an adult football team called the Georgia Chargers. The stadium we used to play at, they used to make it mandatory that if we were going to have the national anthem played, we only can have a track played. That's it. They didn't want anyone live singing just so they don't mess up the words or anything like that. There was one exception. That person's on the show tonight. So I'm going to keep going with her bio. With over 15 years of experience in the banking industry, she also works in corporate treasury management for PNC Bank. As a passionate advocate for women's rights and empowerment, Danielle not only advocates for women, but believes in modeling what true womanhood looks like through her strength, resilience, and dedication to self-love, family, and career. I would like to bring to the show Mrs. Danielle Blackshear. Danielle, hello.
Hello. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for being here. Did you ever know that you were the only person allowed to sing the national anthem live?
That was news to me. I am flattered.
Yes, you did an amazing job. I remember the coach there. He was like, "Yeah, you guys can't have anyone sing except for her. She's good. She's
I love it. I never knew that.
Yep, you sure were. Awesome. Well, listen, we're going to jump right in. I told you before the show that Princeton here is Mr. Consistency, and he likes to keep us on track. So I'm surprised my seat hasn't buzzed already, being behind. But, we're going to, go ahead. I have a ton of questions. I'm not going to lie to you. So let's start here. Your bio, played football, vocalist, rugby. How did you get involved in football? Let's start there.
Oh boy. So I played football with my brothers, his friends from the time I was probably like 8 years old. We would throw together pickup games of football. And so, by the time I was 11, they stopped hitting me like I was a girl. And, we just played, like normal. I was one of the guys when it came to that, at least. So when I was 17, I learned that there was a women's football team in Dayton, Ohio, which is my hometown. And initially, I didn't think that I was old enough to play. And so what I did was I just went because I wanted to sing the national anthem for the games. And, I was so excited. I got there. I'm like, oh man, I sang. She's like, oh yeah, absolutely. You'll sing. And I was like, I really wish I could play, but I know I'm a baby. I'm a minor. Technically, I can't play. They're like, let's check with the league and see what happens. So it turns out they allowed my mom to kind of sign a waiver to allow me to play ball. I was ecstatic that I was actually able to play women's football. So I was actually the youngest player in the league that year because I was the only minor playing in the league. So it was awesome. I played for 7 years total. And it was one of the highlights of my life for sure.
Wow. What position did you play?
So I started on the line, and then they moved me to middle linebacker, which a lot of people were kind of, iffy about. But, my coach was just like, I'm quick on my feet, like I'm 100 pounds lighter than I was at the time. But even as a bigger girl, 300 plus pounds, I was quick on my feet. So I was always up the field making tackles, and they're like, you're a lineman. Like, you don't need to be all, if you up the field making tackles, then we need to put you, somewhere where you have more access, somewhere we can utilize you more. So they moved me to middle linebacker. And I was in the top 5 middle linebackers in the league for 3 years in a row. I was averaging about 2 tackles a game. And then my knees started getting bad, through the years. And so I moved back to the line. And I put on a little bit of weight as well. So, that I kind of moved back, but I played for a few different teams, but ultimately I'm a defensive player for sure, through and through.
So who's the better defensive lineman? You or Austin? He's not listening.
That is an argument we have had many times in this house.
Well, if it's an argument,
though.
What was that?
I said I don't know who wins it though.
You know what? I have not heard any of those arguments, but I'll say if you and Austin had an argument in your house, you as the wife, you won. Let's just put it out there.
I'll take it.
Okay. Now, something Shay told me that I did not see myself is she says she saw a while back that you were building something on Facebook. What was that?
Yeah, so I'm one of those people that if I can figure out how to do it myself, I'm not going to pay somebody to do it. So I can pretty much, I'm a crafty person. I'm a crafty gal. So years back when Austin and I moved back to Ohio, we were kind of the place we were, just moving back home. We were, we had just put a deposit down on our new house and all the things. And I was just like, we got to furnish this thing. And so I was like, well, maybe I can figure out how to build some stuff. And I popped on YouTube and my little ADHD brain just got to researching. And next thing you know, I was building our dining room table. I was building TV stands. I was building wall sconces, all types of stuff. And so since then, every once in a while, I'll dabble in a DIY project. I've built a few things around our house from scratch. And so it's something I enjoy doing.
So you're the builder, and I saw on Facebook that you said Austin likes to do the laundry every week. Does that include folding and putting it up as well, or just washing and drying?
He does it all. I cannot stand laundry. It is the bane of my existence. So I'm appreciative.
I wish I didn't ask that. See, I'm the laundry person here as well, but I don't fold and put away. I just wash and dry, and we all responsible for our own. I don't do Princeton's. That's a bit much. Eric, you got your church finger up. What you got, sir?
No, I was just curious though, because you know what? I love doing laundry too. I got this weird obsession with iron and everything, but my girlfriend doesn't like to iron. But I can't let somebody walk out of the house if it ain't ironed. I can tell. It may not be wrinkled, but if it's not ironed, it drives me crazy. Is Austin like that?
He's not an ironer. Like I'll, if we do need to iron, he'll typically, say, "Hey, babe, can you take care of?" But when it comes to the task of doing the laundry, it's such a mundane task. Like it's so boring to me to do laundry, and so he could get right to it, and it will literally take me days to motivate myself to get up and do some laundry. So he learned that about me very early, and I mean the laundry had to get done. So.
Hey, one thing I wanted to jump in and ask you about, and it was interesting to me. You were going through talking about how you did football, how you did rugby, and how you were also singing. And I feel like we glossed over the part of you actually doing rugby. You talked about the football, but I was actually very interested in the rugby. That's not really a common sport that you see many people playing. How'd you get into rugby? And I don't know the positions in rugby, but I've seen it a little bit. So how'd you get into that, and what position did you play in that?
Rugby was like a one-off. So I played it in college. At the time I was playing football, and I met somebody who told me that I went to Wright State University here in Dayton, Ohio. And somebody told me that there was a women's rugby team. And all I knew about rugby was that you got to hit people. And so I was like, hey, let me go and see what it is. And so I went out there and I told him, I said, listen, I don't know anything about this sport. You guys are probably going to have to explain it to me like I'm a toddler. And you might even have to walk me through it like a toddler when we're playing the game. But if you want me to hit somebody, just point at them and I got you. And so, that was pretty much the gist of me playing rugby. I'll be honest with you. I cannot, if you asked me how rugby worked or the rules of rugby today, because I did only play for a year in college, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I just know that they thought that I was a lunatic because I was just out there hitting people. So
Did you score?
I did not. So like I said, I have a very defensive mindset. So I'm not an offensive player by any means. So, I mean, I'll stop you from scoring, but when it comes to scoring, it's not my thing.
I feel you. Respect. Okay. Yeah. That's awesome.
You know what?
See, I would ask you, have you ever had to lay hands on Austin? But I don't want you to incriminate yourself, so I'm not going to ask you that. And for his sake, I won't ask.
Nope, none of that over here. He might tell you different because he likes to make people think that I abuse him, but he's just
Why is that scary?
And yeah, I think that you might have had a calling in WWE. That's what you like to hit people. Them girls pretty rough in WWE and making that bank now. Hey, what? Maybe we might see you, on one of their little development, television shows. Who knows?
That would be awesome. That would be absolutely. I watched wrestling as a kid, like with my brother and my uncle, like all the time. And now as an adult, you watch it and you're like, wow, this stuff is a little over the top, but even still, I could get into character. I told you guys, I'll do anything that'll make me a little money or save me a little money.
I think based on your personality and the energy, I think that you would make an excellent character. So
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you know what? Go ahead and get that $2-3 million a year just to play hit. That
go be a character. Yeah.
I think Eric's trying to be your agent.
He's right. Be a wise man.
Reach out.
Hey, why not? Yeah, I can be her advocate. Why not?
Hey, respect the hustle.
I love it. I appreciate it.
So Danielle, I want to go back to some music here. Growing up, first of all, when did you start singing?
I started singing. My mom said the earliest she can remember that she kind of recognized that she needed to kind of like nurture the gift was I was about 3 years old. And I was like memorizing entire songs on the radio. Wow. And so by 7, I was performing like in front of crowds of 500 plus people. And I mean, once that kind of hit, it was like, it just kind of took off from there. my mom did an amazing job at nurturing my gifts. She put me in everything she could possibly find, talent shows, talent competitions. She, you know, made sure I was prepared to go to one of the top art schools in the country, Cyber School for the Arts in Dayton, Ohio. And so, yeah, it was, it started pretty early for me.
Okay. Who are your musical inspirations?
Oh boy, I have so many of them. If I had to give you like my top three, it would probably, I mean, Whitney Houston would definitely be number one. Celine Dion. And I really, really love Steve Perry from Journey. Like those are my like top three, I would say.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. How many times a week are you asked to sing?
Maybe 2 or 3. I unfortunately can't take them all because I am a busy person. I'm a mama first.
Right.
But I do get quite a few inquiries.
What about just people like friends, like Danielle? I need to hear a word. How many times would you say that happens during, say, a day?
I would say maybe once or twice. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not really around a lot of people, and Austin got tired of hearing me sing a long time ago because he's been with me for like 11 years now. So he's not asking me to sing. My kids are used to hearing me sing. So on rare occasions, if I get out of the house, usually I do get a, hey, can you know, give us a little something? I enjoy karaoke a lot. So I typically go to karaoke. You know, people are pretty happy to see me when I show up. You know, I love it. I appreciate the love. But it doesn't happen too often just because I'm not out in the public all the time. So.
Okay. So my next question, I just want you to know that my life was threatened if I didn't ask this question. How many times have you been asked to sing today?
None.
So this is the first time. So what are you gonna sing for? I told you my life was threatened. I won't say by who, but I'll say she's about 5'3". You know, but nevertheless. Anyway, so what are you
I
gonna sing
love that. I think I just got a message from her, actually.
Got one for you right here.
Yeah, you got a request.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, wow.
The Greatest Showman. Okay, so I gotta remember if I actually remember that song like enough to sing it for you guys.
Tell her she can just watch the show back. If you got something else, then that's cool too.
Yeah, I was gonna say I might have to do something else because I don't know if I remember the words. I knew that song verbatim when I was practicing and rehearsing it, but now it's been a few years, so
Yep.
I don't know. You know, anything specific?
You know what? Singer's choice.
Okay. Oh boy, what have I been singing lately?
Well, you mentioned Whitney Houston. You got anything from Whitney Houston memorized?
Yeah, Whitney's my go-to. That's kind of what I was thinking. Let me see. And maybe I'm a fool to feel the way I do, but I will play that fool forever just to be with you forever. I believe in miracles, and love's a miracle, and yes, baby, you're my dream come true. I was lost, now I'm free. Oh, baby, 'cause I do believe in you and me. See, I was lost, now I'm free. 'Cause I believe in you and me. Hope that was enough.
Wow.
With no warm up, no
I know.
expectation. That's insane.
Thank you.
I did not tell her that I was going to ask her to do that at all. So yeah, that was totally put on the spot. Awesome job.
All right, your turn, James.
Well, she says she's a vocal coach, so I'm going to see what she can do with this. You ready, Dan? No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'll get you together.
Oh, no.
Oh, some people.
Ooh, okay.
They're too lost. They're too far gone. They're too far gone.
Hey, James.
Shay told me I sound like a rat singing, so I don't think you can do anything with
that's
that.
terrible. Hey, James, got a question.
Yeah.
Does she know about the trip for your birthday?
Oh, hold on, brother. See, you don't read notes. You don't read show notes at all.
They're always messing stuff up.
Always. So, Danielle, let me, since the cat is almost out the bag here, let me paint a picture for you.
Okay.
All right. You're on stage. You got a microphone in hand. It's a cool September evening. In the audience, you see Princeton, you see Shay, you see Eric, you see Austin, you see me, and about 80 to 100 other people, maybe more, maybe less, who knows. You're about to sing karaoke, and it's on the cruise ship to celebrate my birthday this coming September. So what are you singing for us, Dan?
Oh boy, karaoke is like my my chance to sing the stuff that I don't get to sing with my band. So I typically kind of delve into like some like I said, I'm a huge fan of Journey. I love to pull out a Journey song. I love to pull out a Celine Dion song. Every once in a while, I might throw a little Bon Jovi in there, maybe a little country, something like that. Something that people don't really expect, me to get up there and do. If I had to give you one song, I would probably do Faithfully by Journey. Okay.
Yeah. So you answering that question, that means you guys are going to be there in September. So actually, what are you going to sing on the cruise ship? And you just gave me a song, so I got to hold you to that. It's on recording.
I mean, Austin did mention it. He said Montgomery invited us to a cruise, and I said, all right, well, send me the details. So we will do our best to work it out.
Man, no. But we would love to have you guys. And one thing Shay said is she don't go to karaoke, but she's like, if Danielle's there, we going to karaoke. So
I love it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Well, listen, I'm gonna step to the side for a second and turn it over to my colleagues. I know Soleil has some questions for you, but before we go, I got a little game I want us to play. But Soleil, what you got?
Sure. Thanks for being on the show, Danielle. Happy Women's History Month.
Thank you.
So my questions lean into the women's empowerment part of your bio. So what are some of your personal experiences that motivated you to think and care about women's empowerment?
Ah, boy. Honestly, I don't really know what made me. I think it was kind of like this innate thing that just kind of happened. I grew up, my mom was an amazing, strong woman, single mom of 4 kids. She raised us all to be amazing human beings. None of us are out here doing nothing crazy. We, like I said, when I say amazing human beings, I mean, we have empathy, we care about people, we have good hearts, and so I think that that's really special. But growing up around her and kind of looking at that example, it was a big deal for me, and so I think I kind of just naturally fell into that kind of that MO of being a feminist, for lack of a better term. When I was I think I was 19, my second tattoo that I got, I actually have a women's liberation symbol tattooed on my arm. It's the same symbol that they used in the women's suffrage era. Because that's just kind of how passionate I am about, just women's empowerment. And, I really do. When I said earlier that we're superheroes, I meant it. You guys can see, I brought my accessory, my cup, my Wonder Woman cup.
Love it. How have women's roles and contributions been historically misrepresented or overlooked?
I mean, we birthed the nation. You know what I mean? And somehow we're still, even more Black women specifically. I think we're, the most underrepresented, unappreciated group in the world, honestly, and more specifically in our country. I don't know that I have a specific example because I think it's really just it happens on a day-to-day basis. The most relevant one I can kind of bring up would just be our most recent election. Extremely disappointing, just to kind of see someone who was overqualified, a humanitarian, someone who dedicated their entire life to public service, to lose to underqualified felon because of demographics. If you guys can tell, I'm kind of trying to tiptoe around certain terms, but I think that it's very telling of how America views women, and I think it's very telling of how America views Black women. What we've seen in this past election, past November.
Right. I want to sort of stick with that. What do you think is the biggest barrier or most significant barrier to female empowerment? Like, leaning into what you just talked about with the election, like, let's just be real, like, people didn't want to vote for a Black woman. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. So,
True.
What's the barrier? How do we overcome that?
That's one of the things that I have many theories on, but I don't necessarily know that any of them work. I think that we live in a world that I think that people are always going to find a way to have a majority and a minority, whether it's race, gender, whatever the case may be. I think that it's not to go too much into it, but I think that there's a natural system surrounding power and people enjoying having power. And so I don't know that there is a fix, to be honest with you, because I think if we fix one issue, then another one arises, honestly. If we're not the minority, somebody else is going to be eventually. And I just think that it's human nature, unfortunately. So I don't necessarily know, especially in my lifetime, that we see a world that, women get what we're owed. So, yeah.
It's interesting because there's other countries that have elected women to be presidents, and we're supposed to be so advanced here and so great and whatnot, and we're not there yet. So, two more questions for me. How can men and allies best support women's rights and equality?
I think speaking up, I think protecting us, and I think that means more than just physically. I think that it means when you're in spaces, when you witness things that are or if you witness disparities, I think that it's really important for men to say something and not to just allow it to occur. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be on a personal level, because, the men I know, they protect their women, you know what I mean? But there are a lot of men out there who, I don't think they feel obligated to speak up or say something for in cases where it may not necessarily affect them directly, or in cases where it doesn't necessarily occur in their bubble, in their circle. And so I think that it just looks like men, protecting us, and again, more specifically Black women, We live in a world where we have to fight a lot. We're double minorities. And so it is a situation where, me personally, I am grateful that I don't have to worry about having my guard up when I'm with the men in my life, more specifically my husband, because I know that he's got me. I know that if I go into a space where, something crazy happens, that's not even to my own fault, I know that he's got my back. And that's so important, to have that protection and that advocation. Because I think that a lot of women don't get I don't think they get to experience it, unfortunately.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm in my personal life, I'm a part of a Black Girl Magic Scholarship group. We give out scholarships to Black high school girls. I'm a part of a women's business interest group at my employer. So can you share any professional or personal groups that you may be a part of and how you use those groups to ensure women are able to advance in the workplace or just in their personal lives?
I don't know that I would say I'm a part of any groups, but I will say that I try to. So I'm also a voice coach, and a lot of the work that I do in our community is actually with teenagers. It's actually kind of how I started, coaching. There's a annual talent show that one of my good friends hosts in our city every year, and it's like a middle school, high school talent show. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to kind of serve as a voice coach for all of the kids who are singing, performing in that specific show. That was like, when I started it, it was a huge deal. Like it filled me up so much to be able to kind of like give back, because these are the same talent shows that I participated in when I was a teenager. You know what I mean? And so it was a huge deal to kind of be in a different position, to be able to mentor these kids, because it's more than just voice coaching. You know what I mean? Like these kids, they trust you. They come to you with their problems. They see you as more than just a coach. And so I have built so many amazing relationships with some of these kids, and more specifically, a lot of the girls, that I had the pleasure of actually being a voice coach to as well. And, one of the things I will say is, my biggest investment right now is my family. And, though that may not look like I'm investing in much, I think that, that kind of speaks for itself, as time goes on. I'm raising boys to, my boys to respect women. I'm raising my boys to go out into this world and make it a better place. I just had a baby girl who I already know is going to grow up to be an amazing human being. If she's anything like me, I hope she's 10 times better. You know what I mean? And so I really look forward to that too. So mine are they're a little bit longer term, investments, but I will say I really look forward to it, to seeing the results. So.
Well, thank you very much, Danielle. It's been a pleasure meeting you for the first time, and your investment in your family, just based off of our conversation, they're going to do great. You're doing great.
Thank you.
So thanks again for being here. I'm going to go to Prince.
Yeah, so I just got one more question for you. First I want to say thank you again for being on this show, and I have learned so much about you just from this show alone.
Yeah.
So the question I have for you is, you've talked a lot about, the goals that you've achieved and some of the things that you've done. I'm just kind of curious, is there anything that you either weren't able to do, be it like a sport, a goal, a hobby that you ever wanted to get into?
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. I have ADHD. So I think like, ADHDers are kind of like notorious for like doing everything and wanting to do everything and taking on projects. I don't want to speak for the whole community, but speaking for myself, I always love finding stuff to get into. In the sports world, I played softball in high school. That was fun. I'm an extremely competitive person. And so really anything, that I'm good at. Now I can't shoot a ball. Don't ask me to play no basketball. I don't dance. Don't ask me to dance for nobody. But aside from that, I can usually figure something out. So one of the things that's funny, I was just talking to my husband about it. Our 15-year-old is wrestling, and we actually just got our 6-year-old into wrestling. He just finished his first wrestling season. And I can remember in high school, my our wrestling coach came to me and actually asked me to wrestle because he knew that I played football. And he's like, oh man, you'd be so good at it, because when I was in high school, I was a thug. I walked around. I wasn't this girly girl. Like I had basketball shorts on and a polo, and that was kind of like my daily jig. Like I wasn't super girly in high school, so I know he was like, this girl could really probably do some damage. I walked around with a mean mug on all day. So wrestling was actually one of the things that I recently was just like, man, I wish I didn't have these bad knees. Like there's not really, and I mean like wrestling, like real wrestling, not like, WWE, but like that's something that I kind of wish that I had gotten into when I was in high school. But I was so hyper focused on playing football that it was just something that, didn't kind of fit, at the time. So.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah, I did football, track in high school and before high school, and then I also attempted wrestling, and that's the one I quit. So
yeah,
that sport is no joke. So
it is no joke.
Anybody who says they do wrestling, I know they are committed.
They're the real deal. Yeah, no, it's funny you say that. I just in our living room, our 15-year-old, he likes to challenge me, every once in a while. And so I told him, I said, I'm gonna jack you up. And so one night, we're kicking it, me and my husband, we've had a few drinks, whatever. The kids are kidding. And he's like, I'm like, Jaden, come on, let's wrestle. He's like, oh, okay. So I'll have to shoot you guys the pictures after the fact. But we had a whole wrestling match in the living room. Well, in our family room, really. But I gotta say, looking back at the pictures, it was hilarious. I was exhausted after I got done wrestling with him. And he actually ended up beating me. I'm gonna have to show him this clip because he wanted the world to know that he beat me by like, I think 2 points. Technically, he beat me by 2 points. I don't really know all the rules of wrestling, but yeah, it's the real deal. Just that one little match I had, I said, "Ooh, okay, all right, this is something serious." So
yeah, no doubt. Well, once again, appreciate you. That's all the questions I had. I believe Eric did have
before you do wrestling. Danielle, you said your 6-year-old is into wrestling. Mm-hmm. I did see Adonis is not only into wrestling, but he finished second. Was that in the county, state? Where was that in?
So we have a league here. It's called the Kobe Y. Like I think I'm not really sure where it spans or how far it spans, but they had a North League championship and then they had a South League championship. And then they had a like entire league championship. And so he placed second in the North-South League championship, and then he placed third in the championship for the entire league. Yeah.
Amazing.
My baby.
Eric?
Speaking of your children, you have 2 children, is that correct?
4.
4? Okay. Ooh, okay. Have any of your 4 children picked up on your musical talent?
Yeah. So my 3-year-old Kenji, he's my musical baby. He's been like dancing since like he heard music, basically. He memorizes entire songs on movies. He sings in the car with me. He's the only one so far that I can get to like sing with me. And Adonis, my 6-year-old, he's kind of wishy-washy on it, but he's a little timid. He's my little Pisces baby. So he is a little bit timid, but Kenji is like anything music, he will give you a show. Like he'll do a dance for you, he'll spin around, he'll sing the songs, all of that. So I'm hoping that he's my little performer.
So maybe a mother-son duet perhaps somewhere in the future?
Hey, I hope so. I would die if I got to sing. Like that is one of the things that I've always wanted, is to have little musical babies. So I really look forward to the day that I get a chance to do that.
And one last question for me: do you or anybody else in your household have a instrument talent?
So I dabble on the piano. My husband dabbles on the bass. But other than that, no. I'm more of a, I just kind of take my instrument with me wherever I go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, again, to echo my co-host, we definitely appreciate you taking time out to be on the show. And those are the only questions that I had.
Thank you.
All right, Danielle, I just got a couple more things.
Yeah.
We talked about children. One thing I shared with you that I wanted to talk to you about, a lot of people really look at depression, mental health as taboo. One of many things I appreciate about you, I saw that you spoke several times about postpartum depression. Talk to us a little about that. Educate the audience, in your own words. What is it? How did you overcome? Because you had a bout of it yourself, correct?
Yeah. So, honestly, candidly speaking, my husband and I, we have 4. I have my stepson. I've birthed 3. And I experienced postpartum depression with 2 of the 3, and I experienced anxiety with all 3. So, it has definitely been a journey. I think that it's one of those things that a lot of people, have heard about. They know it can happen, and you don't ever think it's going to happen to you until it does. I'm grateful that I have a partner who recognized it, because a lot of the time women who are going through it don't realize that it's actually happening to them. When we have these babies and our bodies are going through these changes and we're healing and our hormones are fluctuating, we're just kind of trying to get back to ourselves, but we're sleep deprived and we have these little people to take care of, and our anxiety is through the roof because you have this little tiny human that they just gave to you and expected you to know what the hell to do with it when you got home. It's one of those things that I don't think that we realize. My very first time when we had our first son together, I remember, and it's so crazy because today is my mom's birthday. And I can remember it was the same scenario. It was literally my mom's birthday. And, I'm the eldest sister of my sibling group. And so that, comes with a large responsibility that I embrace. But at the same time, at the time, I didn't have the capacity to really deal with what was going on outside of my home. And so I planned this dinner for my mom, and I showed up and I cried the whole time. And I was literally just and I could not, it wasn't even a situation where I had control over it. We were sitting at Red Lobster and I'm eating my crab legs, tears streaming down my face. Like I could not stop my body from crying. And, you know, my mom was just like, you know, it's okay. I know what this feels like. My best friend was there. She's like, I felt the same way. And I'm like, how did I not know that these were things that you guys were going through? Because nobody talks about it. Nobody says, hey, I don't feel okay. I'm not okay right now, because, you know, there's such a stigma, like you mentioned, around not being okay, around people being depressed or, you know, having depressive disorders or just not being okay. And so it was crazy to me. And so that was really one of the things that kind of like spoke to me, because I'm just like, we got to talk to people about this. Like, you know, I got home and I talked to my husband and I was just like, baby, I don't feel okay. And he's just like, I'm explaining to him how I'm feeling. I'm like, I'm wonky. Things aren't right. I don't really have too much motivation to really do anything. The things that used to excite me, they don't really give me any joy anymore. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. And he's like, well, Danielle, you know, like if I gotta be honest with you, he's like, that sounds like depression. He was like, as a person who has actually dealt with depression before, I know what that looks like and what it feels like. And then the light bulb went off. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm dealing with postpartum depression. And so, you know, even doctors most of the time don't do the due diligence to make sure their patients are okay after they have their babies. You know, OBGYNs don't ask enough questions. They say, hey, how you feeling? You got this beautiful baby. Oh, look at you. That incision's healing up well. All right, well, beautiful. Get on out of here and we'll see you in 6 weeks. And it's just like 6 weeks is a long time when you're taking it hour by hour, day by day, you know? And so it was really a situation that was just kind of a light bulb moment for me. And my husband was so patient with me. And I'm so grateful that we had that experience, so that going into our second child and going into our third child together, that we had some sort of preparedness, you know, going into it. Because it really makes a difference. I mean, hell, yesterday I was going through it. You know what I mean? We got a baby girl who's 5 months old right now, you know, and every day is not a good day. Every day is not a day. You know, my anxiety has been terrible. You know, she went into the hospital about a month and a half ago with RSV, and she was only 3.5 months old. And that triggered something in me. When I tell you I have been anxious, like anxiety attacks, you know, all types of things, because I'm like afraid that something's going to happen to my baby. And, you know, these are things that a lot of people don't talk about, and it's so stigmatized. And I had never experienced depression until I experienced it, you know, postpartum. And so it was so eye-opening for me, because even me looking at it, I kind of had this weirdness about people who, like, you know, would talk about depression and like, oh, okay, are you sure? You know, like, you know, and I don't think it was purposeful. I think that it's just one of those things that you kind of have to experience to really know and understand what's happening. I could go on and on about postpartum, just the postpartum journey in general. But I think that, you know, the key to it is having a partner who supports you, a partner who is committed to you. I'm an advocate for marriage before you have children. I know a lot of people might have something to say about that, but at the end of the day, you know, I think that's bare minimum commitment that you need to get from somebody when you're going to have a child with them, because when you run into the hard stuff, you know, when it ain't all rainbows and butterflies, and you got this little person that's looking at both of y'all, hoping that y'all can figure it out, it's really, really important that you have an established bond with that person. And I think that, you know, marriage is definitely the first step to that. So like I said, I'm grateful, very grateful to have somebody who has seen me through my crazy.
It's important.
And continues to.
Yep, that's important. And you're 100% right, Danielle. I'm with you. You guys been married 7 years now, I think I saw.
Yeah, 7 years. We've been
7
together
years.
11.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations on that. And you never know everything about a person. Even after 7 years, after 11 years, Shane and I have been together. We've been married. It's going to be 22 years this year. So
Congratulations. Yeah,
thank you. You still learn. You still
that's
learn, but it's
beautiful.
an amazing thing. So I'm with you. And I'm glad you had that support. I'm glad you had someone that was with you that was able to help you identify what was going on and see you through it. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that worked out.
thank you.
Yeah. All right. We're going to play a little game.
Okay.
But before we get to that game, one last thing. Let's talk about something else about music. Are you listening to R. Kelly or is he blocked for you?
No, he's blocked.
Really? He's
Yeah.
blocked. Have you
He's
heard the remix of from Chris Brown, Residuals?
Oh, the Residuals challenge.
Yes.
I've heard a lot, but I did not listen to his. No, I did not.
If you look at the video on YouTube, it's quite hilarious because the AI is just off the charts. Shan and I had a nice little giggle about that. So you have
Really?
homework. Check that out. Yeah, check
I
that out.
will. I
Yeah.
will.
All right, here's the game. You have two options. This is called this or that. I'm going to say two names, and you tell me which person you would rather listen to.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Usher or Chris Brown?
Usher.
Beyonce or Rihanna?
Beyonce.
Brandy or Monica?
Brandy.
Alicia Keys or Mariah Carey?
Which Mariah? Which
Ooh.
Alicia?
Ooh. Okay. Let's go. Shay, I think, and it used to be, I don't know if it still is, she's watching, she'll correct me if I'm wrong. Her favorite Mariah album is Emancipation of Mimi. And Alicia Keys, let's go with y'all help me out. My co-host here. Which version of Alicia Keys we want to go with? There's Stump too.
It's like I know I listen to Alicia Keys, but I don't remember a lot of her songs.
What? Okay, I need to mute you and keep you off the show.
Yeah, please do.
I mean, if we're talking about prime Alicia and prime Mariah, as much as I love Alicia Keys, I would have to go with Mariah. I'm a huge Alicia Keys fan, but
Okay.
Like to the point where like when I was a kid, my email address on AOL was akeysfanforlife90. So if that gives you some context.
Stop it. I see Princeton laughing because you said AOL. I know him.
I've had an AOL email.
I was in the chat. I was in the chat rooms, the AOL chat
Right.
rooms, Akeys fan for life.
So Danielle, were you that ASL?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm a 90s baby. So yeah.
That's funny. All right.
Yeah.
Erykah Badu or Jill Scott?
Jill.
SWV or Escape?
SWV.
Celine or Whitney?
Oh.
Why you do that, James?
I had to. And Shay says she still has an AOL email. She does.
I don't know if I can answer that one.
Oh, you got to give us something, Danielle. You got to give us something.
Whitney. It's
Whitney.
very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
Closest it could ever be, but it would probably be Whitney for me. Yeah,
okay.
That's my girl.
The absolute, thanks for playing along, Danielle. The absolute last question we have is actually coming from our executive producer, that 5'3" person I was talking about earlier. What's next for you, Danielle?
What's next? So much. I mentioned it, on my social media, and I can't divulge too much information on it, just for confidentiality reasons. But I will say, I got some big things going on this way. I have some travel coming up that is I'm really looking forward to. And I'm hoping that, in the next couple of months I can share a little bit more. But I hope that it's one of those situations where I can hopefully say you guys might want to turn your TVs on and you might see me. So
Okay.
Okay. My brain start working there. You know what? I'm looking forward to that. And as far as this travel, I hope it's somewhere near, I don't know, maybe Atlanta or Birmingham or even Nashville, but we'll see. We're not gonna ask no
Or
questions.
Vegas.
Or
Or
Vegas, yes, Vegas.
Or hey, Detroit is like Motown, hey, not too far.
or it could be somewhere international. You never know.
Oh,
Get my
if it's
passport
Canada,
and
just don't sing the national anthem. They might boo you.
please.
Yeah, no, I don't think Canada likes us too much.
Right. Heck, a lot of us don't like us too much right now. But anyway, that's a whole nother show.
That's
But
a whole other show.
Danielle, thank you so much for being on the show. As everyone else has said, I cannot wait to hear the big news. I will definitely be tuning in and watching, what you have to say and when you say it. And I hope to see you in September as well, if not before.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I do have some. I actually have some travel scheduled to Atlanta later on this year, regardless of the cruise. So we will be down there. So, but I will work it out. I'm hoping we can get out of this house and hopefully we can find a sitter and go have some mom and dad time. So
there you go. Well, when you guys plan your Atlanta trip, let us know.
we will for sure.
Awesome.
Yep.
Danielle, thank you so much for being on today.
Yep,
Thank you for
it.
having me. Everybody, it was so nice meeting everybody. And I love the questions and appreciate you guys letting me talk about myself for an hour.
Of course, we enjoyed it.
Over.
Yeah.
Continued success.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Awesome. All right, Soleil, you got this day in history.
There we go. Thought I was still on mute. Yes, I do. So in August, not March, August 1910, an International Socialist Women's Conference was organized ahead of the general meeting of the Socialist Second International in Copenhagen, Denmark. Inspired in part by American socialists, German delegates, and others proposed the establishment of an annual Women's Day, although no date was specified. The 100 delegates that were in attendance, representing 17 countries, agreed with the idea as a strategy to promote equal rights, including women's suffrage. The following year, on this day, March 19, 1911, the first International Women's Day was marked by over 1 million people in Austria, Hungary, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland. And that date, International Women's History Day, has been moved to March 8th now in the 70s. But the very first one was on this date in 1911.
See, I thought we were going to have March 19th as Danielle Blackshear Day. She did an amazing job on the show. Love talking to her and learning about her. And so I appreciate learning about this day in history. You had me a little worried when you said August. I'm like, we're a little early.
I was just about to crack a joke on this day wasn't today, but then you reeled it back in.
Yes.
I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional.
I already knew Soleil was going to tie it in.
I thought you was pulling an
Thank you, Eric, for believing in me.
No problem.
I know what I'm doing.
I thought you pulled an Eric. Speaking of Eric, you have something on your heart, sir.
Yeah, a couple of things. I'm going to be real quick, but I lost my mother on March 21st, 1992. Her birthday was March 18th, 1992. So every time this year, every time her birthday rolls around, because her birth and her death dates were so close together, it's always very difficult. But seeing as how this is International Women's Month, the woman who most had the impact on me would have been actually my not my birth mother, but my birth auntie who wound up adopting me. Her name was Ella Terrell. So I definitely appreciate all of the things that you've done for me to give me confidence, to instill in me that all of the things that I had to fight against growing up, that I could overcome anything. And I sorely miss you, and I wish you were here. Another thing that I would like to bring up in honor of Women's Month is that I think that we need to do a better job as men, or even as like children, when it comes to our mothers and grandmothers, of honoring them. It shouldn't just be a birthday. It shouldn't just be an anniversary. It shouldn't just be any sort of holiday. We need to make sure that we do things for them to let them know how much they mean to us, because once they're gone, they're gone. And those are really the only two things that I had to say during my spitball. Again, Mom, I love you, I miss you, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me in my life. So thank you.
Oh, thanks, Eric.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
That
thanks.
was
It's
beautiful.
it's not often we get to see that softer side of you.
Mhm.
You'll never see that softer side of me because you're never nice to me.
That's not true.
Well,
That's not.
you did introduce me to Princeton, and I do have the good fortune of another amazing woman at Shea. So you know what, you did enrich my life by bringing those two individuals, and your mom, who is a very, very, very loving person, was like my second mom. And I think that I might have told you this before. You don't know how instrumental having your mom in my life during that time, because right around the time we met is right around the time that I lost my mom. So having your mom, I greatly appreciate you sharing your mom with me.
Oh, y'all need to hug it out.
Listen, you're not about to make me cry on this show, god dang it.
Well, you know what? It's your fault, Dan James. You was the one who invited me to your house. And your mom don't let people just leave when they there. She gotta feed them, and she's gotta be mom. So, you turned out to be an amazing young man, and I know that your mom has a lot to do with it. And just Miss Montgomery was one of those type of moms that she was everybody's mom when you came to her house. She made sure that everybody felt love. And so, like you've met Miss Montgomery, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
you
yes,
you
I
know
spent 10 hours over at James' house and couldn't leave.
Yeah, and she always made everybody feel like so welcome. It was the same thing with my mom, made everybody always feel so welcome. Johnny, my girlfriend, like that. When you come over to our house, she makes everybody feel so welcome. So I've been pretty fortunate to have some pretty amazing women, in my life that definitely has like shaped my perspective, has taught me how to treat women, taught me how to read women. Sometimes, and Danielle brought this up. Sometimes being in a single parent household, as amazing as a single parent is, they need a break. I mean, you get somebody pushing life out, and then they're bouncing back within like what, an hour of after having a baby, they're up walking around. I really don't see how a man honestly can really mistreat a woman after seeing that, because that is an amazing thing. So close to death just to give life, that is remarkable. That's why we need to do a better job at acknowledging women, supporting women in their struggles. And another thing that I wasn't going to bring up, but I think that it kind of ties into why men kind of have a are distant when it comes to the cause. Did anybody realize that as of 2023, only 49% of the households in Black America have two-parent households? Do you know what the statistic was in 1960? It was
What?
75. It was 75%.
Well,
And the our Caucasian counterparts, right now it's roughly under 80%. But back in the 1960s, it was 93%. So if we really want an answer to why there seems to be such a disconnect, it is the fact that we have a lot more single households. More than half of the single households that are out here only has the one parent, and the majority of the time it's the ladies that are raising the children. So we as men, okay, we may not get along with the person who we had the baby with, but we need to make sure that we sit our children down, and we need to let them know that women are equal to men. We need to be beside them, when they're standing up and they're fighting, for like injustice. So, and I didn't mean for this to go on as long as it did, but that's something that I find that's very important, because if it wasn't, for a bunch of single women that helped raise me, I don't know where I'd be right now.
yeah. Wow. Wow.
Powerful.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, listen, everyone, Mr. Consistency. I'm surprised that he didn't shock us all because we're a little bit over, but it was definitely worth it. Um, Everyone, it was an awesome show. Definitely appreciate you all. I need to look back on my notes and verify what next week's show is. I know we played a little switcheroo, but we definitely get that announcement out to everyone. And it's been a wonderful show, everyone. You've heard it from our mouths to your ears.
Treat your women right, America.